Hello, Tom Levecchia here with a very on the fly, very special edition of the Armchair NBA. I called in a very special guest. He's taking his time out amongst his Art Basel days, but he's a crypto expert, Lorenzo Abatello. Welcome to the Armchair NBA. How you doing today, brother?
Always a pleasure to talk with you, Tom.
All right, so Lorenzo's been on the show before, and the truth of the matter is he's a licensed CPA, but also has an expertise in crypto. So he's kind of the go-to guy to know the ins and outs of how crypto works. But this scandal, this FTX scandal, which I'm still shaking my head over, I don't believe it. But let's start with the baseline. What is crypto? Give us, some people may not know what crypto is. Give us a little bit of a crypto and then define what is a crypto exchange.
I mean, crypto is just a digital currency.
Okay.
Just like you have a dollar,
yeah,
you have a franc, you have a euro, you have a yen. It's just another form of currency. And the reality is that some people who aren't really, it seems foreign to them. Yeah. We actually haven't been that far off from having digital money. I mean, when was the last time that you got paid in cash?
Yeah.
Numbers on a screen, really.
Yeah.
So it really isn't that far off. And a lot of countries actually been using this technology for years now. So it's not as far-fetched as a lot of people may see. But that's just to give a real quick
top line. Yeah. Okay. So now obviously you got this digital currency, right? Literally. Mm-hmm. And just like anything else, whether it be Forex or whether it be a monetary exchange, an exchange is created, right? Mm-hmm. And number two, it's supposed to be a market that trades these currencies pretty freely and openly, but crypto is not regulated. Before we get into our boy Sam for a second, give us a little bit about what is a crypto exchange?
It's a marketplace. It's a marketplace to you put your assets on the exchange.
Yes.
So this is a big deal, right? This is where I think this is a really make clear distinction is technically when you put your assets on the exchange to trade, to swap, to whatever you're going to do, it's not yours anymore. They have this saying, it's not your keys, not your crypto.
Yeah.
So it's like, the reality is it's a sad story, but when you put your money onto these platforms, you have to trust that the person that you're giving it to is doing the right thing. And obviously that's why.
Okay, but Lorenzo, in this case, I sign on an account with TD Ameritrade. I buy 50 shares of Merck. I send them a $5,000 check. Mm-hmm. I understand I don't the stock is not sitting there in an account, but I have the right to exercise ownership of those shares. Mm-hmm. So I do own those shares on a regulated stock exchange. Give me how FTX is different specifically.
Well, like you said, I mean, and to say that crypto is unregulated is far from the truth. It is very regulated. However, there's bad actors, and this is where we're at. And there wasn't the same regulations as there are with TD Ameritrade.
Correct.
When TD Ameritrade or a bigger financial institution, like a regulated financial institution, takes in money, they basically have backing to that. Coinbase is actually a great example of someone who does this right. If you, Tom, give me Coinbase $100, I have $100 in reserve ready to make you whole. If you need,
because it needs to back it up, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
So what FTX did, which was they took this money and in reality they didn't have that backing, and they used that money and gave it to a third-party business.
Well, no, I want to get to that about Altameda. What was it called?
Alameda.
I want to get to that. I want to skip over that because I want people to really kind of appreciate how screwed up this $150 billion scandal is. Okay, so we know what crypto is now. We're all smart people. We know what an exchange is, right? I go to buy now. Would I buy? I don't know what there's a name for it. The bigger cryptos. Would I buy a Bitcoin and Ethereum through FTX, or is this more reserved for smaller cryptos?
It had a lot. It had a lot of coins and tokens to be purchased. It wasn't
so if I buy, let's just say, sake of argument, I don't want to buy crypto. I want to buy crypto. Mm-hmm. If I bought crypto directly through FTX, that money's gone?
Correct.
But he didn't buy crypto on my behalf, Bitcoin on my behalf.
The money's just gone.
Fuck me. All right. Well, I don't know how this guy is not in jail.
I don't know how he's still walking this earth. Yeah, look at this guy.
All right. So Sam Bankman-Fried, and I'm going to say this, and I don't care. If this was an Italian guy, the indictments would have came down already. The alphabets would have flew in. ATF, IRS, FBI.
This is it's crazy what's happening right now.
So tell us about Sam, and it's kind of politically connected. Tell us a little bit about him.
I mean, the guy I feel like knew what he was doing this whole entire time. When you grow up in the family he grew up with, I want to say, when I use this word privileged, I know it's going to come. When I say privileged, I mean, look at the way that United States privilege, going to a MIT, going to, his family, both of his parents were Ivy League.
Yes.
So when I mean privilege, I mean in that Ivy League.
You got a head start, yeah.
Now, in quote unquote the media, right, looks at these people as better than. So now his family is very well connected. He comes in, he probably feels like he can do whatever he can do. So just mentally, already, like, you're thinking about his mindset. And not everyone that comes from these schools is like that. Yeah. However, this guy has put together a string now of decisions that you got to look back and you got to piece together the puzzle, because, I mean, this is really a fraud. I mean, call for what it is. You can, while it's not been publicly said this way, I mean, come on, let's just face the facts here. Like, this is the guy's on TV trying to play dumb, and he's on record saying, quote unquote, you can pull this quote up at some point, maybe, I don't know if you want to edit it, but quote unquote woke Westerners, you need to speak to them a certain way and then you can get away with this. So basically just playing dumb to woke Western. He's using these terms in private DMs to the New York Times.
Jesus Christ. All right. So he sets up this exchange, which on the surface seems like a good idea. Guys like us who got a few bucks, I want to balance out my portfolio. I don't hold any crypto. I got to talk to you about that.
Tom, let's take a step back. I want to I want to let people understand also where this guy was before all this happened.
Tell us. I don't even really know much about him.
Let's go back to last year when the government crypto was going nuts. Yeah. And the government's like, we need to do something. Let's bring in crypto's biggest and best experts in front of Congress to educate us on crypto and the regulation that we
don't say he was one of them.
He was one of them.
Yikes.
CEO. That's not the CEO. I don't think was Armstrong on there. He wasn't. Coinbase, FTX, Circle. There was another stable coin company, and I think there was one more. But he was up there talking about regulating the industry.
Another Madoff. Madoff was head of the SEC at one point, or whatever that was. Not the SEC, but the compliance board.
I mean, how insane is that?
All right. So this guy takes in privileged kid, Ivy Tower kid, obviously very intelligent enough to swindle all these people, takes in $150 billion. Okay. Tell us about Ultimata. Now he has a hedge fund that basically gambles and plays on crypto. So he takes all the money from the exchange and then plays with this Ultimata. Run us through that, and then what the hell happened, Lorenzo?
Okay, so not only did he take the people's money, okay, so let's just go there and answer your question. People gave money to FTX. They put it on the platform. He then took that money and loaned it or sent it to his hedge fund, which he's a 90% owner in, but doesn't know how the money went there and accounted for all that money.
Wait, he owns 90% of the hedge fund?
90% of it. But doesn't, and his girlfriend's the CEO, but knows nothing about what happened. I mean, does it make any sense? Goes there, sends this money and then trades it on margin. So margin.
Whoa. So he didn't even use he didn't even use money. He took the money and then used like other money on top of the money that he stole
and leveraged it up. So for people to understand what margin is, basically your loan, you put up capital to get something. Just like when you go get a mortgage, you give part of the equity of your home, like your home is up.
You're leveraging,
yeah. So, but normally in a margin account, when let's say the asset values start to drop, let's say you invest money in and they start to drop, there's what they call like a margin call.
Margin call. Hey, give me my money.
Once it gets to a certain point,
fuck you, pay me.
Fuck you, pay me. They had it off, so it would not be able to be margin call.
So there wasn't even a floor, meaning when it hit the floor, it would automatically trigger it.
Because in his head, he could always get more liquidity.
Jesus Christ. So this is I think it's bigger than Bernie Madoff, right? Because Bernie Madoff was a lot, like 30 billion or whatever it was.
But it wasn't just the people, Tom. It was like the biggest hedge funds and VC funds also gave him like over $1 billion. I think the number was.
Jesus. So these were sophisticated investors, but also I've read that there were individuals that really. So I'm gonna give you the naive person point of view. I believe in crypto. I got $10 million. I want to go all crypto. Isn't the idea of giving it to exchange? I might put 10% in this crypto, 20% in this crypto, 5% in this. So if I go to an exchange and I diversify, I actually think I'm safe. Is that how some people got wiped out? I don't feel as bad for the institutions. I do, but I don't, right? But for the individuals that got wiped out, is that the thought process? Hey, I give this guy $10 million, but I'm diversified amongst my coins. Like, how did people get wiped out individually? Because a lot of people did.
It doesn't matter if you had were diversified in all these coins. If you had money on that exchange,
gone.
It's done.
So he didn't. I still like if you really, and just so you know too, this is not going to get a lot of views because this is going to get suppressed. That's why I did it as a live, just so some people could catch it, because people are going to watch this or not be able to watch it because it's not going to hit the algorithm because they're trying to hide. There's a lot of shit going on. So forget about, God forbid, forget about regulation. Ethically, you're running an exchange. He didn't have to tether 85% to a hard asset, 50%. Like you as a CPA, and let's say you were behind the scenes and you were ethical. Well, you're ethical, but you being the ethical guy, how much should he have had pegged to a hard asset? All of it, some of it? What should have happened?
Technically, it should be 1-to-1.
Got it, because then you can't really leverage that, because if you lose it, it's other people's money.
Technically, it's 1-to-1, and clearly did not do that. But the worst part is not only did it affect FTX, but it affected other people. And then it caused what they call a contagion effect, and other people started getting affected. BlockFi, Gemini. I've grown men, my clients, literally crying to me on the phone because they've lost everything.
Oh no! Oh, you know some people.
I got 300 plus clients in the crypto space.
Jesus Christ!
I've literally grown men crying to me on the phone.
Wow. Now, do they have any recourse?
And honestly, you know what's nonsense is that technically, from the way the IRS rules are, they can't even write that off.
Wait, I spent. Hold on, because I know this is your area of expertise. I lose $5 million, right? And it's part of my portfolio. At least I could do a net operating loss forward where I can lose money against my income in the future years. I can't write off that loss.
If someone steals from you or you lose something, if someone went and stole your car, you can't write that off. There's no difference in crypto. Now, I'm going to preface by saying this. If you want to deduct it, no one is stopping you, but technically those are not the rules.
Jesus Christ. Wow. So people, it's a lot to absorb. So people gave this guy money. He uses money for something else, put margin on top of it. But the hedge fund that he owned, those guys got screwed too, meaning he took investment from those guys that had the hedge fund, I assume, and those guys also got screwed, correct?
Mm-hmm.
So do we know what he bet on and lost? Was he transparent? Like, obviously wasn't transparent, but did he bet big on, I don't know, Doge? How do you lose $150 billion, Lorenzo? Walk me through that.
What happens was, like, he would give in return his FTT token, which technically had no legs. So he would.
That's right, because he tokenized everything in the exchange, brought it over.
But there was nothing to back it. There was no. So when it all came apart, when the guy CZ, the owner of Binance, who was one of the main original investors in FTX, who was done, he was out, but he said he was going to liquidate his coins, and
which he had about $2 billion. And so really quick, guys. So Binance, it was a competing exchange. They had obviously a vested interest, had $2 billion, and he basically was either out or said he was going out. Correct?
Yeah, and that sounded the alarm to this, and that's when this whole thing started just falling apart.
Okay, so now I got to put on the tinfoil hat real quick. I believe they invested in it. Obviously, it was a scandal, but I also believe that they had some insider information, got out at the right time, help accelerate. Accelerate the crash, so they could either take it over, which they tried to, and the deal fell through because he said these books are fucked, or to get them out of the way. But Binance is owned by China.
No, but no, I don't think
it's a Chinese company.
Well, yes and no. They're all over the world, but
it's owned by a Chinese national.
Yeah, you can say that, but I don't know if it's so much him.
Okay.
That I would say, like, put that on. I wouldn't go and say that, but speaking of insiders, this is another thing that makes this guy such a freaking a-hole.
Yeah.
He got supposedly, because he's in the Bahamas, right? Purposely in the Bahamas. Went and told all the people in the Bahamas to get all their money out before he knew all this stuff was going to happen, so he would be in favor over there and they wouldn't hate him over there.
You got that? You got to be kidding me.
People in the Bahamas got paid out and got their stuff out before anything. And if you remember, right after all this happened, there was, like, I think 500 million or something that just went missing. Like, they're like, oh, the FTX got hacked.
All right. Now the other part is, they say, when you play poker, you read the person, not the cards. Just like in investing, you look at the investor, not necessarily the vehicle. And he struck me as like one of those guys, like, I got $1 billion, but I'm going to drive around in a Honda and be granola and all woke and everything else. I don't buy that. If I get $1 billion, bitch, I'm getting 2 Ferraris, I'm getting a Lamborghini. Like, my Lamborghini is going to have a Lamborghini. You know what I mean? Like, so I don't buy that, like, that whole, granola, better, good. I need to make money so I can give more money away. So I kind of saw through that bullshit when I heard about him. I never liked him, to be honest. I don't know. Obviously, you guys got hindsight is 2020, but do you want to give this guy your life savings? I don't know. I would hope he owns a comb.
If anyone was looking to get, I mean, listen, the market's down. It's to say it's a good or a bad time is wrong, but if you want to get into crypto, you got to go to the people who are proven. Like, Coinbase is a public company that they're out there.
Coinbase is another exchange, correct?
Yes, publicly one-to-one backed.
Okay.
If you're going to get into it, you have to be safe. There's ways to have security is number one.
Okay.
Ways to have it on a ledger, on a cold storage, is basically like having cash. There's ways to do this safely. And
well, really quick though, can you, like, I was thinking about this. Can you litmus test, meaning I want to go to Coinbase or whatever, and I want my ATM card, and I'm going to just shoot over to the Bitcoin ATM. There's some in New York, and you go to some place, some banks, and take some out. Is that I know maybe I'm thinking too old school. Is that a way? Like how do I give these guys my money, and how do I know it's there? What I'm getting at?
Well, they're actually that's probably gonna happen in the near future, where they're gonna make it a requirement for them to make public their reserves.
Okay.
And some companies have already come forth and said, here, check out our reserves to show like but also that can be dangerous too. So you don't want to show your hands, because that's how a lot of, but granted, their reserve is going to be mostly cash and other things. So it's not that big of a deal.
Yeah.
But like, for example, Luna, that one that crashed, months ago, they had this whole big stake in Luna because they lent out their Bitcoin that they were holding, and then they ended up selling the Luna, selling the Bitcoin. It was like this whole inside job, and that happened because they kind of knew what they were holding, and an attacker used that to their advantage to cut a deal with them and then cut them out of all their liquidity. Basically, just like wipe them out from underneath their feet.
So they use their known assets as leverage against them.
Yeah. But technically, these exchanges shouldn't really have that type of an issue. So that's something that I foresee happening in the future. There's going to be more regulation. This is exactly when you go back to the Enrons, to 2008. Really after Enron, was a more of a better example.
Yeah, I lost money on Enron.
Well, what happened? They
were betting with money they didn't have, and on futures and different vehicles that didn't exist.
Aside from that, post that, a ton of regulation came out, and companies had the Sarbanes-Oxley rule.
Correct.
You had to create a whole compliance department just for that. It cost companies a lot of money in compliance after that.
Oh, God forbid. If I sign this on these financials, I'm responsible. Wow, shocker. So why is he not on the hook for the FTX.US? So there is a little bit of hope for some people. There's FTX.US. It's if you put in money for the US portion, you may, probably not, be able to get some of it back. Why isn't the officers of the FTX.US on the hook legally, as far as you know?
You know what's crazy is I went to high school with one. I went to high school with the president of FTX. He was the smartest kid in my high school.
Really?
He perfect score on his SATs. Went to Ivy League school. He stepped down in September of this previous year, unannounced. Personally, I don't know anything of the situation, but I think that he's not a bad dude, and he kind of got wind of what was going on, and he left.
Well, so let me ask you this: you're a staff accountant. You're somebody who kind of has access to the behind the scenes. I'm guessing there had to be multiple people that have seen that, oh shit, there's no money for a minute. And then also the fact that nobody is that possible, obviously, right? And then number two, which is I think it is, and number two, the fact that they should be complicit because they didn't say anything, right? Before we wrap up.
Well, honestly, that could be most likely an issue, right? And that's what I'm worried about, right? It's like for him, I'm saying like, if he knew about this stuff, is there legal liability? And that I'm not 100% sure, but I'm sure there's got to be some sort of investigation. It's like it has to.
Yeah.
What I am more just starstruck about is that this guy was in politicians' pockets. Yep. He was in the media's pocket. He was just played all his right cards. His family was very elite,
very wealthy,
very
connected with the Democrats. Not inferring Democrats were involved. Saying very connected with Democrats.
Publicly, yeah. And why isn't this guy not in jail right now? Supposedly there's a hearing on the end of December or something. I saw on TV today, actually. But like the fact that this guy's on media outlets talking right now.
Yeah.
I think honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if someone kills him. I really won't.
He's going to get whacked. Well, listen.
I wouldn't be surprised. I don't blame anyone.
I love it. On this note, I just wanted Lorenzo to jump on. He's a personal friend of the show. If somebody wants to reach out to you, hey, Damien, how are you, buddy? If somebody wants to reach out to you, how can they find you if they need tax advice or hire you? Or
for sure. I mean, I specialize in the crypto industry. I've been working in crypto as a professional and an investor since 2016. I've serviced a ton of clients in the space, dealing with really complicated situations. We do a ton of planning as well. My partner, He does a lot more on the corporate side, the ERC credits and all that stuff. And so if you want to reach out, it's lorenzotax.com.
Yeah, I'm dropping it now.
There's a like a button you could schedule a call and with someone from our team, we have a free 15-minute session. So if you wanted to book that, you can go on there and just book a call with someone on the team.
I noticed you list the bigger coins on your site. Imagine you had the coin associated with FTX and you just had to put it to zero.
Well, it's not at zero.
What is it at?
Trading. I mean, it's like it's not where it used to be, but
hey, okay. Well, I don't want to get into advice. I actually want to get into another show. We'll get back when we have more time.
Yeah.
Which stable coins to get into, how to invest, what part it should be of your portfolio. But for now, Lorenzo, I appreciate being on. I'm going to hang out a minute still with this live.
Yeah.
But I appreciate you being on, and I'll talk to you soon, my friend.
Awesome. Thank you so much, man.
Thank you so much. So, everyone, Lorenzo is a great guy. He is a CPA certified in the tax space, and then he specializes in, and I'll see you soon, and he specializes in cryptocurrency, which the guy's an expert. It's a very narrow field. He's really good at it. And if you need to check him out, lorenzotax.com. And then I just want to do some quick shout outs before we conclude. I made a little fundraiser on Saturday for our annual toy and gift card drive. We raised about $1,500 worth of stuff. Shout out to Loomis and JSV Capital. They kind of showed up that day. Some other people contributed directly. So I want to thank those who contributed. And then we have some cool things coming up for the channel. Just stay tuned. So I'll bid you adieu for now. Just a quick live with Lorenzo. He kind of jumped on last minute. I wanted to explain the FTX scandal as much as we could with an expert. And drop your comments below. If you're watching in the rerun, it's not going to get super big numbers. I'm letting you know now because I think the algorithm is going to squelch it, just like anything that is political or, God forbid, controversial. Just nature of the beast and nature of what we're dealing with. So thanks so much for those that watch. And on the rerun, make sure you drop a comment below. Let us know what you think of the FTX scandal. And will Mr. Sam Bankman-Fried get indicted? Have a good one.